All right, now welcoming on very special guest, current or former Cedar Crest High School alumni with us. Another friend from high school that we're having on. Welcome to Kailyn Campbell, a softball player, former softball player, current professional softball player overseas, and pretty much anything that has to do with softball too. So, Kailyn, thank you for coming on. We're excited to one catch up. It's been a while, but two just hear kind of your story, your journey, and not a lot of people get to keep playing the game that they love, for this long. And so we're excited to hear how that's been for you and what your experience is. And also, we're extremely jealous that you're recording from Hawaii right now.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm happy to share it because I know it's not super common. So it's always good to kind of get the word out there.
Yeah, we've been just kind of living through, social media posts and getting to see what you're up to through there. And we told you before we started, like Hunter and I obviously love the game of baseball and love watching sports, but to talk to somebody who has gotten to play it for a long time and still gets to play it is really exciting. So I know that you played in college and that you've continued to play, but kind of bring us up to speed. How did you get to this point? Kind of give us a little bit of background. Obviously, we know what your experience was through high school, but kind of bring us and everybody else up to speed on how we got here.
Okay, right. So after high school, I went over to Central Washington University and I played for 4 years there. Um, and it was actually really, really weird. I had four different coaching staffs in 4 years in college. The head coach was the same the first two and the last two, but the staff as a whole was different for 4 years, which was kind of crazy and something I didn't really realize until after.
Yeah,
um,
wow.
it was kind of crazy. Um, but we did well. It was kind of once that new coach came in, we went to super regionals my junior year, and then my senior year we also had a really good year, and then we ended our season in the conference tournament, I think, somewhere around there. But we made it postseason after that, and then I graduated in 2017, and then that coach had a former player of his that was playing overseas. She was in Austria, and she reached out to him and asked, like, hey, do you guys have any current seniors that want to keep playing? And so he reached out to me because he knew I didn't want to stop playing. So I got in contact with her. We kind of talked back and forth a little bit. And so I decided to go over to Austria that was the summer of 2018. Um, but if you backtrack before that, I actually forgot about this. I went on two like softball tour kind of trips that this organization brings. They kind of like select college players from around the country and they take them all on a trip we went to South Africa in 2016. So that was during college, my junior summer or senior summer, I suppose. And then the 2017 summer after I graduated, we went to Spain. So I had already played a little bit internationally, but not like as a full season. So in 2018, I went to Austria for about 3 months. And then I started grad school the day after I got back from Austria. So that was a little bit of a jet lag situation there. Um, and so I did grad school, and that summer again, I went back to Austria. So that was 2019. And then 2020, I was supposed to go to Austria. That didn't happen. And then 2021, I went back to Austria. So I kind of just like flip-flop grad school, Europe kind of thing. And then 2022 was my first year in Italy. And then this year I'm going back to Italy in April. So it's kind of like a 6 months of a life in America, 6 months of a life in Europe. So it's kind of a flip-flop for now. But we can also play winter seasons in New Zealand or Australia because it's summer down there. So I'm hoping I can get down there. Hopefully next winter, 23, 24. So we'll see what happens, but I'm set to go to Italy in about 2 months from now. So it's kind of a crazy thing happening over here.
Yeah, wow. I mean, I don't really know where to start except for that's so cool. Like
Yeah,
that's cool when you lay it out like that, like chronologically year by year, and you just
mhm.
talk about like the back and forth. And like, I guess my first question is, did you ever think that you would get to play international like that, let alone in several different countries?
Absolutely not. Like I had no idea it was even a thing until that girl reached out to me, that former player was talking to me about it. I was like, oh, okay. Well, like, how does this work? Can you tell me more? And then there's a recruiting platform organization that I'm a part of. And so like former college players can like get a profile. It's basically like college recruiting, but for like European teams to contact you and be like, hey, this is what we need, this is what we can offer, kind of thing. So I'm a part of that, and that's what I got onto in 2018. But I had, and it's one of those things that's like you don't know. Like if you ask me where you gonna be playing in 2 years or even like next year, like I don't even know. You can't really answer that question because sometimes it even happens like within weeks or months. Like last year, I was here when it happened when I was first contacted by the Italy team that I'm going to this year again. So it's my second year with the same team. They contacted me in early March, and within a month, I was on a plane out there. So it's like you can have no idea what's happening, and then all of a sudden, you're there. It's like it happens so fast. It's crazy.
Wow. And we can get into more of the fun stuff after this because I have so many questions. And we both love to travel and everything, and because that's a huge part of it. Um, but how, just like logistically, how does that work? Like, how do you like? Do you have somewhere that you call home in the States for the other 6 months out of the year? And like, how do you determine like when and where you're gonna play, and buying a plane ticket and finding another place to live overseas, like all that?
It's yeah, so when I was in kind of like my grad school flip-flop years, it was I had an apartment over in Ellensburg where Central is. And so I had that, but after I graduated there, I moved back home. So I'm kind of like in limbo. I'll go back to my parents' house and then fly off for another 6 months. So I'm really only home for like I'd say 4 to 5 nowadays because it's more like a 6 month, six-ish season, and I usually stay longer to travel. So it's kind of a I'm gone more than I'm home type of thing right now.
Also,
But once
just to say, like, for anybody listening that doesn't know about Little Ellensburg and then literally playing on the other side of the world, that that's insane to think about. Ellensburg, Washington to Italy or Austria
everywhere.
or anywhere.
Yeah, like tiny town to across the world. It's like
Wow.
it's crazy. Yeah. But once we get like when we were talking to teams, it's kind of like it's like a professional league over there, wherever you are, whether the competition is really great or really not, because it's way different than college. So typically teams, and it depends on the country, because everyone is different and every team is different. But they will generally provide you like they'll pay for your flight, most of your flight. So they'll pay flight, accommodation, transport, um, maybe they'll give you a phone or like a SIM card or that kind of thing. So they basically, and then they'll pay you monthly too if you're usually in Europe. And then I think in the winter seasons you work down there too with a work visa. But they pretty much pay your way over there. They find you a place to live, they pay rent for you, and they do all that kind of stuff. So it's a pretty good deal.
Yeah, that's a that's pretty cool just to think about because I mean I know I've read some books, I think fiction and nonfiction about like people that go over and play football or basketball or soccer, I guess would be common. But to talk to somebody who's actually doing it and like you're literally living that life, that's
Yeah.
pretty cool and crazy to think about, but also like probably one of a one of a kind experience and an experience of a lifetime that you really wouldn't get to do typically.
It is, yes. It's definitely it's a great experience. It's really fun to be able to travel and play and meet so many other people that are doing the same thing. And it's not all like perfect rainbows and butterflies, you know. There's always those things that go wrong, or you don't know what to do, or language barriers, or just like all those kind of typical things of going to a foreign country and living in a different place. But all in all, I'd say it's a pretty great experience for sure.
Yeah, that's before we get into, I know Hunter said, we have all the questions about obviously living overseas, but we are a sports podcast, so I have to ask the game itself, playing softball over there, whether you're in Austria or Italy or even these winter leagues, what's it like? Is it relatively the same game that we're used to? Are there different either norms or kind of idiosyncrasies or anything that you see when you're playing the game that's totally different or relatively similar to playing in America?
I think it's very much the same, I would say. The only thing is just sometimes the language, and more so in Italy than in Austria. When I went to Austria the first time, I was expecting to like I'm gonna have to learn how to say everything in German because they speak German over there. I was like, what? Like I don't even know the base numbers. Like how am I gonna do this? And then I got there and they speak English like quite a bit over there, and they like everything in the game they'll say in English except for like maybe some cheers or something. So there was pretty easy. When
Interesting.
I got to Italy, it was a completely different story. We had practice the day after I got there, and it was a scrimmage. We did like a practice like with situations before and then a scrimmage, and we were doing situations. It was all Italian, and I had never heard Italian in my life. And I was like, I thought I knew how to play this game, and apparently not. Like this is hard.
Wow.
But yeah, it was, but all in all, it's like we all know how to play the game and we know like what to do and everything. So it's very, you can connect on that aspect. So it's very, the game itself is very similar, whether the competition is up there or not as high. So it's very similar.
Gotcha. That is interesting. I mean, obviously, that language barrier, that's going to be a factor, but then you get there and it's like, wow, this is a real culture shock. And then of course, like to make it to the level that you've made it to and to have that kind of success, if you will, um, everybody knows how to play the game. It's just like it's just the nuances of where you're going to go with it and what different kind of situations, but
Mhm.
everybody knows the game at that level. But I guess like something that we probably take for granted just playing with everybody who speaks English is like the locker room vibe, and like how does that feel, or
Yeah.
how is that different, or like sitting in the dugout when your teammates up to bat, like are are the Italian people or people from all other parts of the world, are they like chanting in their own language, or is everybody, like how does that feel, or even just the locker room before or after?
It's it's very different. The sometimes the like the chanting and everything, it's kind of a mix of like I will say the American cheers that a lot of international teams do are like very low level like travel ball kind of cheers because they're very similar or simple in softball at least because we cheer all the time. Um, but then they have like their own Italian songs or German cheers or whatever it is that they do. So that part is a little bit different. I just usually like sit there and clap and just like, yeah, go, keep going. um, but the locker room it's we had in Austria wasn't we didn't really have a locker room. I kind of lived in the clubhouse, but everybody just like showed up and we didn't really use the locker rooms there for games. But in Italy we do have one. And when I was there last time, I didn't really know. I'd started to pick up on Italian, but I'm learning a lot more now and I'm like actively learning it. So I'm hoping I can talk to my teammates more this year. But like they talk so fast and so like fluently and speedy that it's like it's hard to pick up sometimes. And they do speak English a little bit. but sometimes it's a little bit difficult.
Yeah, what would you say is the balance on that note of like, are there other Americans that are over there? Are there people from other countries like in Europe that are also playing on these teams that you're on? Or is it pretty much, hey, they're all from Italy and you're kind of odd woman out?
A little bit of both, I guess. A lot of the European teams they can have two Americans on their team, so it's kind of like
Hmm.
they call us imports in some places, foreigners, whatever you want to call us, Americans. You're the American, they're the Americans, whatever. But usually there's two. Last year we had three on my team because one of them had a European passport, an Italian passport, so she didn't really count as an European, so we could have, or an American, so we could have two others. But both of those Americans spoke fluent Italian, and I didn't. I was like, oh,
Wow.
God. Which was kind of good because they helped me. Like when we went places, they could just figure everything out. But yeah, I was kind of the one that didn't really know anything last year. So I'm hoping it's gonna get better this year. But I do love the Italian language, whether I know everything or not. But it's definitely one of the challenges for sure, whether you're playing or just like walking down the street, you know.
Yeah, that's huge. I mean, aside from just how competitive and challenging the game is itself, that's a whole
Mhm.
additional factor that people probably totally overlook.
For
Um,
sure.
what would you say, I mean, of all of your playing, but I'm sure at this level especially, like what's one of the biggest things that you've learned either about the game or yourself, or especially in this new setting playing abroad?
Ooh. Um, I don't know. I think I would just say that like you there's certain points where either you're playing or not. I would say more so not playing, like maybe when you're just traveling or just like out in the city or whatever, where you're just in a situation where you have no idea what to do. Like you can't read anything, you don't know anybody, and you just have to figure it out. Like you have no choice but to figure it out somehow. Like I'm pretty good with maps and everything, so if I need to go somewhere, I can usually figure my way around. But just like you learn that you can really get through anything, whether you think you can or not. You're like in this situation, you're like, okay, just relax. Like, what do I need to do right now to get one step closer to where I need to be, whatever it is that you're doing. So it's just, you learn a lot of things that you can do that you didn't think you could do.
Yeah, that's cool to hear. Hunter and I, right after college, we did a quick 10-day trip over to the UK, and I feel like we got a bite-sized version of that where you feel lost and you have no idea what
Yeah,
to do, and you kind of just wish that you were home or that you could text somebody and ask.
yeah,
But it builds
exactly.
character. I mean, it's all part of the process.
Yeah, or like when I'm traveling with people, like if I was with my two American friends or whatever, and we're in a place, and I'm like, all right, like you guys can figure this out. And then
Yeah.
when I have like visitors come with me, I'm like, we're stuck, and I have to figure this out. Like it's all on me.
Yeah. Yeah. Then you're looked at as the local expert and you're like, I've only been here for 2 months. So
Yeah, exactly. It's like I've never been in this city. Like I don't know what to do.
yeah, I can't even imagine that. I do have another travel related question, but one more softball question before that. And this is one that we do typically ask current or former athletes is you've been playing the sport for so long, it's part of who you are, it's been part of your life. I mean, pretty much forever.
Mhm.
What would you say is one of the biggest things that softball has taught you? Could be on the field, but a lot of times it seems like it teaches you more about life off the field. What would you say that thing is for you if you look back on your 20 plus year career of softball?
Right. Ooh, I think that, man, I don't know if I've ever really thought about that. You would think it would be easy.
kind
Um,
kind of a loaded question.
yeah, just a little bit since I've been playing for like forever.
Yeah, you have a
Like
lot of
you do
life,
it
a lot of
you
lessons
do
to
it
look
every
back
day,
on.
you think about it all the time, but then you're like, Wow, take a step back.
I know, exactly. It's like, man, I've been playing this thing since before I could remember anything.
Yeah.
Um, I think what I've learned about myself is that I'm a very dedicated person, and when I want to like set my mind to something, that I actually like, I can do it, and I can do hard things. And like baseball, softball is like we hear it all the time, it's a game of failure. And it's like you're messing things up and you have to get right back to it. So it's like if you strike out, you get an error. It sounds very like simple cliche that you just have to like kind of drop it, get back to it. Um, but I think it's just kind of that dedication mindset that's what I'm looking for. Mindset. I think my mindset is just, and whether it's playing or not, and just I think my mental game and mental strength is just really, and I think it gets better as I keep playing. Like I feel like I keep getting better as I get older, which I don't really feel that old, but up here we're still pretty good.
Yeah, right. I mean, and that's crazy to think about. Like you're still learning, you're still improving, and it's like every day, every time you step on the field, every time you put the glove on, like that's just it's amazing how you can continue to improve for something that you've been playing for literally the majority of your life. You know, you're probably 4 or 5 years old. Um, and then I love that point about failure. I mean, you know, you look at the Baseball Hall of Fame and, you know, everybody there has if you say a 33% success rate, you know, if their career batting average was like 350, boom, Hall of Fame. What else can you do and succeed 33% of the time and be called one of the best? Like
Yeah,
you
it's
you'll learn how to figure out some hard stuff through that.
yeah, definitely. And I'm also very hard on myself. That's why I think that my mindset's pretty good too, because I just like I'll hit like I've had some pretty good success numbers wise overseas, and I still think like I can do better. Like I'm not satisfied with that. Like keep getting better. And even in college too, like I was each year I was like, okay, I want to do better than I did last year. I want to do better than I did last year. Like there's always room for improvement. And once like that second that you stop learning and you're like, okay, like I'm good enough. I'm not really gonna strive to do anything else. Like that's the danger zone right there, really.
Yeah, that's I mean that translates on and off the field, but you heard from age 5 and on, the moment you're not expecting the ball, it's gonna find you. It's like
Yes,
same thing
exactly.
in life. If you get complacent, if you think that you've made it, boom, you get hit with, you know, a ton of bricks and you're back to the bottom. So
Right. Yep. Sounds about right.
yeah. Well, one travel question I have, obviously you said you've gotten to travel a little bit, you know, before and after the season. Coolest place or favorite place that you've gotten to travel? I know that there's been a lot probably sprinkled into the last few years for you, but what stands above the rest?
Oh, that's really hard. Um, I will say that some of my favorite countries, I love everywhere I've been, and everywhere has been like such a different experience based on like either country or like who I was with or anything. But I really do love Austria and Italy because I mean they're just like special places in my heart too because I've been there for so long, and they're just beautiful countries too. And then also Switzerland because I've been a little bit in the Alps up there, and it's just unbelievably beautiful up there. But the food in Italy, I will say, amazing, above the rest. And Italian's my favorite food too, so I just love it there.
That's awesome. I mean, it that's such a big part of it, and if you can
It
be
is.
somewhere and you're like, "Hey, if nothing else, like I know I'm gonna eat good tonight." That's hard to
Yeah.
beat.
And there's so many, especially in Italy. I'm not sure if it's as like pronounced in other countries. Like I know each country has their like their food culture, but in Italy, like it's so different for each like region of Italy. Like if you get you there's a certain like um like a meat that's like special to a certain place. Like if you get a bolognese spaghetti, like it's going to be different in 4 different regions. Like the meat's going to be different. It's the same but different everywhere. So there's really good variety of wherever you go.
Interesting. And
Yeah.
what part of Italy are you living in when you play there?
I am in Colecchio, which is also another small town. So apparently I like to live in small towns everywhere. But it's in Emilia Romagna, which is kind of north. It's like the boot part of Italy, like the very, very top of it before it kind
Okay,
of sprays out.
cool. One thing with travel, just because I mean that's so cool, and it's cool to see other parts of the world.
Mhm.
Um, on your off days and however your schedule is set up, or I don't know if you have weekends, but do you get to travel to other places while you're over there, or are you pretty dedicated to the 6 month playing schedule?
So if we have off time, we're free to go like wherever we want. So in Austria, the season or the schedule is there was only like 14 to 20 games in 6 months. So it was like really spread out. So if we had like off weekends, I'd be like, okay, I'm gone. I'm going to Germany. I'm going to Hungary. Like I would just like check my schedule and be like, okay, off weekend, I'm going. So a lot of my trips were like 2 to 4 days or so.
Wow.
And then in Italy, you could also do day trips, which are also because the trains are really super easy to use over there. In Italy, we play every single weekend, so every Saturday, and we practice 3 times a week. So we could do like day trips from the train or wherever with teammates that drive. And then if we have a break there, we can also travel. Usually there's like a month to 6 weeks or so where we don't have games, but we'll have some practices so we can still go on like weekend trips and stuff.
That's yeah, that's pretty cool. I mean, what a good way to see so much and really maximize your time, because it would probably be easy to just say, hey, I'm tired. It's been a long week, or that game
Yeah.
was tough. It took it all out of me. I just want to sit here and watch Netflix. And you're like, well, I can do that for the rest of my life in America, but
Yeah,
let's go for
exactly.
it.
Exactly. You're like, I'm here and this is only like 2 hours away. Like I'll sleep later, you know?
Yeah. Sleep when you're dead, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And
Well,
everything's just so close. So it's like when I was in Austria, it's like really in the center of Europe. So if you just go like any direction a couple hours, you're in a different country, really. Um, but in Italy, I hadn't seen a lot of Italy because I couldn't really get as far as I wanted to from Austria. So last year I stayed a lot more in Italy than I did previous years. I did get to Spain and France though. France, there was a tournament there. Spain, I went with a couple friends. So I think, and then I did visit Austria. So I didn't go quite sporadically as I did, but I did see quite a bit of Italy. So that was fun.
That's so cool. I mean, such a cool opportunity to like one, just in general, continue your playing career. And, at the end of the day, you get to wake up every day and just play the sport that you love. But then to have
Exactly.
the travel on top of that is just like next level. That's so cool.
Yeah, it's the best of both worlds, to put it simply.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's super cool. Well, Kaylin, thank you so much for dedicating some of your vacation actually to
Course.
doing this. Appreciate just sharing your story, giving us a little insight and getting to hear about that experience. I mean, again, a one of a kind experience, and so cool that you've been able to do that and to, like Hunter just said, continue to play the game that you love. And we're rooting for you. What's the mascot for your Italian softball team?
Oh, so they don't really have them. In
Oh,
Italy, it's the name of the team is the name of the town, and then like the teams are sponsored, so they have like whatever sponsor. Like ours is, I think, an auto dealership is the sponsor. So it doesn't really have a logo. Our logo is a big C. So
Nice.
It's nothing too crazy.
I was gonna say we'll be rooting for you, but I guess we'll just have to learn how to say the city in Italy that you're from instead.
Yeah, Colecchio, it's a pretty easy one.
That's doable. That's not
Yeah,
too
we can do that. And yeah, I mean, we appreciate you coming on. We don't want to keep you too long, but we do like to give everybody the opportunity who comes on to just give shout outs, who got you to where you are. And yeah, I mean, because you don't make it this far by yourself.
Yeah, right. Definitely too. Well, one of my, I would say, biggest mentors, I guess, he was my coach in college my last 2 years, so my junior year, my senior year. Coach Larrabee, he's been all over. He's actually the head coach at Florida International University right now. But I've stayed in touch with him. He's helped me in college. I was also his grad assistant when I was in grad school, so I've kind of kept in touch with him a lot. So he's been a big part of my softball career as in college and beyond. And then the recruiting platform community that I was talking about, that is softball jobs overseas and also baseball jobs overseas. There's a ton of baseball players that do it too. They're also the reason where I am. He got me started with somebody who's already doing that, and then I kind of got into the community, and I think that has just completely changed my life, because obviously I wouldn't be here doing what I'm doing if it wasn't for that. And then just all the people that I meet through that, all the friends, the people that have helped me through that, it's truly life-changing. I don't know how else to say it.
Yeah, what a blessing, and just it goes to show how having the right people to surround yourself with can make such a huge impact, and that's super cool.
Yeah, definitely. Very grateful.
That's awesome. Well, Kailyn, thank you so much. We are rooting for you guys overseas. We'll try to keep up this year on how the rankings are doing and give the listeners a little bit of updates, throughout the season. And maybe next year we'll do the same thing when you're in the off season in Hawaii again. We'll hear how this season went for you.
Yeah, sounds good. I think I'll be back here actually too, so keep that in mind.
Nice.
Thanks for
Yeah.
having me though.
Yeah, we appreciate your time, and yeah, hopefully you enjoy the rest of your trip before you head back to Italy.
Yeah, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Yeah, that's not a bad place to spend the off season. I can tell you it snowed last night in Washington, so
Oh, great. So that's what I have to go home to.
yeah.
Lovely.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much again. We appreciate it, and we're rooting for you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
That was awesome. Thank you, Kailyn, again so much for coming on. That was Kailyn Campbell, everybody, playing Italian softball. I already forgot how to say the name of the city, but we'll look it up and we'll get it down. That was cool just hearing her story, and someone who was a couple years ahead of us in high school, actually, but just got to catch up and, talk about life, talk about the travel was kind of a cool part of it, something that you don't hear a lot about. And yeah, what a cool opportunity to just keep playing softball.
Yeah, I mean, play the game that you love, wake up every day, and I mean, that's pretty cool, especially halfway around the world.
Yeah, when she said the Italian food, I was thinking, man, that has got to be one of the best parts, because you haven't been to Italy, right? Or have you?
No.
Yeah, I was thinking, like, we had some good food in Europe and it was kind of on par with what we thought, but I've heard Italian food in Italy is just absolutely next level. So that would be
Yeah, I mean, that'd
so
be
cool.
dangerous having like the best food in the world for 6 months.
Yeah, you're just eating like every kind of pastas that you've never heard of, pizza. I mean, and like,
Yeah, interesting how the meat is different depending where you go.
yeah, that's kind of cool. And I know like they obviously don't have a Chicago style deep dish or something. Like it's actual Italian food, not like American Italian.
Yeah, I know we'll have to do a hit the spot and Italian edition.
Yeah, dude, maybe we should go to Olive Garden in the next couple weeks when you're here, because that it's been a while.
I usually go to Olive Garden before a race, and
Yeah, you do a little bulk.
yeah, I have a half marathon coming middle of March, so might be good timing.
Dang, that's the St. Patty's Day, right?
Yeah. Week before, which is weird because it's the Saturday before, but St. Patty's Day is on a Saturday this year. So it's like, why didn't they just double up and then like have beer at the finish line or something?
Yeah, that'd be something worth running for.
Yeah. Well, yeah, this was a fun one. Cool to connect with Kailyn, hear about her story, and best of luck to, yeah, we'll have to get the team name.
Yeah, I need to like say it 3 times so I can remember how it's
Yeah.
pronounced.
But they
Yeah,
don't have a mascot, so that makes it a little harder to cheer
that's kind
for.
of what I was banking on. So that was definitely something new for me. The
Yeah,
the Korean baseball has them, so maybe Europe's just not up to the times with the mascot. Or you could
not
be
up
like
to the
the
times.
like maybe they're like the Alfa Romeo, she said they're like an Italian
Oh, there you go.
auto dealer or something like that. You're like the Peugeot softball. Well, yeah, thanks,
True.
Kaylin. That was a lot of fun hearing the story. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed hearing something a little bit different. Officially, our first softball player on, which was kind of cool. And yeah, hopefully, we'll be able to check in with her after the season, and hopefully, they can go take some names.
Yeah, for sure. Pretty cool. Um, and yeah, that was fun. First softball player.
Yeah. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in. As always, make sure you like, rate, and review. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Check it out on YouTube too, in case you want to watch us conduct the interview. And if you haven't done it in a while, leave us a rating and let us know what you thought of this episode. We'll be back next week. We're kind of in spring training mode here, so next week we'll probably turn to the Grapefruit League, and let's get some baseball going.
Yeah. Are you putting the airfare to spring training on the CTL business card?
Yeah, as soon as we can open up a Sky Miles account, I'm there.
Yeah. That's where everybody's reviews come in. So click unsubscribe and then resubscribe. Maybe that'll help.
Yeah, we do. On that note, we do have a new exclusive subscription option. So if you want any exclusive content, and you want to be the first to know about any new episodes or any new stuff that we're releasing, follow the link in our episode description and you can officially be one of our first paid subscribers.
Yeah, Climbers Plus.
Climbers Plus. Yeah, join the club. Well, Hunter, that was a fun episode. That was fun to hear Kaylyn's story, and be back next week for a little bit of MLB insight.
Yeah, ready for it.
All right. As always,
Let's climb the
in
ladder.
the ladder.